WN California, even though I'm going to San Diego and I'm going to hang out in a little cafe where they play guitars all night and all day. This guy does sports media in San Diego. We've had him on many times, talk Padres and Chargers back when the Chargers were there. Welcome Troy Hirsch back on from Fox 5 in San Diego, California. You can find him out on Twitter at Troy Hirsch Fox 5. And you know, Troy, I've hit a lot of folks in San Diego, guys like you that I know or have had on, you know, over the course of time through Padres or All-Star games or whatever was going on out there. This is weird calling people in San Diego and saying, hey, let's talk about the Chargers, because most of you are like, well, no one here cares about them anymore. And I'm thinking, well, they're only 2 hours away, but I sort of get it. I lost the Colts. It's a very weird mixed emotion, and I know there are some that may have stayed with the parade a little bit because of Phillip Rivers or Antonio Gates, and others that are just gone. I think I'm going to find a very fractured community when I hang out in San Diego for a couple days this week, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you will. In fact, you will probably find few people who admit that they are still Charger fans because there is really a line drawn, and either you're with the team or you're not with the team. You can't really be sort of with them, and so it's very interesting when you look at the TV ratings here. When they played Kansas City on Thursday night, the game did close to a 20 rating, which is one of the highest ratings that it's had. Of course, it's an exciting game, and there's fantasy football playoffs and all sorts of different things going on as well. But I think there's a lot of football fans in San Diego, and they have really mixed emotions about the Chargers. I think they wouldn't mind seeing Phillip Rivers do well, but they sure don't want to see Dean Spanos do well. And so I think there's a lot of conflicted people and maybe conflicted households and conflicted fans here in San Diego about how well this team is doing.
Well, I know it's high risk for the Ravens, you know, going out there and playing this game. It's risk-reward. You win, you get to stay in the tournament. You don't, you're probably not in the tournament. In the case of the Chargers, all I can think about is, all right, so they beat the Ravens, and maybe they host a playoff game. Maybe they get to the Super Bowl. If they win the Super Bowl, where would the parade be? They don't have a fan base. Like somebody said to me Disneyland, and I'm like, all right. Somebody said maybe it would start at the StubHub Center and reach the 5 somehow, or the 405 up in Carson. But that's the weirdest thing, is they literally are good against all odds, as are the Rams. And I'm not sure there's even a place for them if they go on a tear that clearly Phillip Rivers is capable of going on right now, right?
That's a great question, and we've kind of talked about that here in San Diego. It's like, okay, every other sports city, when they win a Super Bowl or a World Series or something, big parade and hundreds of thousands of people show up, and especially a Chargers team that has never won a Super Bowl. And if they were to go on a run, which is, as you know as well as I do, there's a long way between now and then, but if they were to do that, who would celebrate? Who would they go to have a community to follow them? Because even at their small stadium, and you'll see this on Saturday night, there is a large population of visiting fans that will go to the game. It'll be interesting for you to see how many Raven fans are actually there. When the Chiefs come here, when the Broncos come here, when the Raiders come here to Southern California, there are more of the opposing fans than there are the home fans. So the Chargers, one of the reasons they play so well on the road is because they're used to it. They're playing 16 road games during the season, because even at home, they're not really at home other than in their own locker rooms and on a familiar field.
Troy Hirsch does all things San Diego sports and waiting for Padres season and getting over to Peoria and all that good stuff. You can find him at Fox 5 in San Diego and at Troy Hirsch Fox 5 out on Twitter. Get personal with me here for you. What's pissed you off about it? Like, I mean, watching it, holding a mic flag, showing up at these City Hall press conferences and the vote and all that in the media. What's your dog in the hunt in all of this as to how sleazy the whole thing went down? I mean, I've watched it from afar, and I remember this with the Colts leaving, and then us trying to get a football team back, trying to steal the Cardinals, trying to steal the Raiders, trying to steal the Rams. We wound up stealing the Browns, of course. It's dirty pull, but it's been going on all of my life. I mean, the Colts left town when I was 15. I'm 50 now,
Well, I think what's burned me the most is the way that the NFL and the Chargers handle the whole thing, which is to say, oh, the fans don't want us, so we're leaving. And that's totally wrong. The fans love the team here. And what the NFL and the Chargers don't want to admit is they're just going for money. They're just going to the community that they can fleece the most, that will give them what they want. And the Raiders did the same thing in going to Las Vegas. And the Rams did the same thing in going to LA. Is where are we going to get the most from the population in terms of money, and where can we fleece the community the most? And I'm pretty proud of the people of San Diego when they voted against what would have been a horrible plan that Dean Spanos put forward when the stadium vote came up. And he really picked the path of most resistance. He picked the most difficult location, the most red tape to cut through, because he truly, in my opinion, didn't want to stay here. He wanted to go to LA, get to a bigger market, increase the value of his team, and he didn't care a lick about what the fans think. And I think that's where fans really have a tough time with, is fans think with their heart, owners think with their wallet. And so here are all the fans saying, we're doing this, we're doing that, this is my team. And as soon as a dollar sign flashes in front of an NFL team and owner, they go to that dollar sign and they completely forget about the fan, and they could not care less. And people ask me all the time, do you think Dean Spanos is upset that there are more visiting fans than home fans at his game? And my response is, I don't think he cares a lick what color jerseys and hats that the fans are wearing. All he cares about is the color green of the money that they're showing and paying to come through the door. As long as those seats are filled, he doesn't care what team they root for, in my opinion.
To me, the long-term play is always going to be London or Mexico City or whatever that's going to be, because I can't fathom this is going to be a tenable long-term situation, right?
Well, I disagree with that in a little bit, and I guess it depends on what your term is of long-term, because they're definitely not doing anything before they move into the new stadium. Everything that they get in the new stadium is probably going to be at least a 5-year deal, so now we're talking 8 years down the line. When I say everything they get in the stadium is going to be a 5-year deal, advertising, suites, all that stuff, they're probably going to lock them up for multi-years if they possibly can. So now you're looking at 5 years, and so then that's 8 years down the line. Is that long term? I don't know. I don't see the team coming back, and the reason being is a couple of things. One is the NFL doesn't like to admit mistakes. Two is Dean Spanos isn't going to try to come back here because he already left. And three is he's not going to sell the team anytime soon. So there's no new owner that's going to buy the team for whatever it's valued in LA and then bring it to San Diego and suddenly lose value because you're in a smaller market. These people who own these teams are very rich people, and they didn't get rich by buying something high and then moving it somewhere where the value goes down right away. So honestly, I see the team staying up in LA and just making a go with it from however they can.
How's Padre life there, man? Any hope? I mean, I'm stuck in Oriole land here, Troy,
I think there might be a little bit more hope than in Oriole land.
You think?
Just because they've got a lot of prospects coming up. Maybe an equation would be when Manny Machado was coming up, and the Orioles, I think, had a lot of young talent that they were waiting on, and it all kind of blossomed together. And you guys out there made a little bit of a run for a couple of years, and I think the Padres are hopeful of Fernando Tatis Jr. That comes up and does something well, and some of the guys we saw last year, like Franmil Reyes and maybe Franchi Cordero, if he comes back healthy. Heck, Will Myers is still not very old. Eric Hosmer is only 29. So I think there's a lot of optimism. They just wonder, when is the future? When is it? What year is that? Is it 2019? Is it 20? Is it 21? And with the Chargers gone, that future can't get here soon enough, I'll tell you that.
No better night than a night out at the Western Union warehouse there with a fish taco down there at Petco. I'm hoping to enjoy a little taste of that this week as I get the Chargers, and I'm going to get San Diego instead of L.A. Troy Hirsch does all things sports media at Fox 5 in San Diego. You can find him out on Twitter at Troy Hirsch Fox 5. I guess last thing for you is the Phillip Rivers part of this, right? Like, seeing him after the game on Thursday night, maybe you want to be his teammate, his fan, all of that stuff. I think he would be the part of this. If Burt Jones had left with the Colts and we had to go watch him play in Indianapolis, maybe we would have rooted for him. I don't know, but we're about to lose Joe Flacco around here. I don't know if we're going to root for him in Jacksonville or Washington next year, wherever he's going to be. But certainly Phillip Rivers has been an interesting story that sort of glues the Chargers to San Diego in some way, right?
Well, it's funny because I posted something on social media and somebody replied, "Hey, report on San Diego sports," and it was about Phillip Rivers. And I said, Phillip Rivers lives in San Diego. He still lives in North County. He commutes 70-plus miles one way to the Chargers facility every day, and because he doesn't want to uproot his 8, soon-to-be 9 children that that have grown some roots here in San Diego. So I think a lot of people, that's where the confliction comes in, is they would love to see Phillip Rivers and Antonio Gates, those two guys, get a chance at playing for a Super Bowl. But I mentioned earlier, as we were talking, Nestor, that there's a long way between now and a Super Bowl. I mean, the San Diego Charger fans, and I say San Diego because they were in San Diego at the time, remember a 14-2 team that had the number one seed, and then they lost at home. And they remember a 13-3 team that had the number one seed, and they lost at home. So there is a lot of football yet to be played, and this Charger team has been snake-bitten for many, many years with missed field goals and interceptions that turn into fumbles, and then the other team recovers, and they go on and score the go-ahead touchdown. So the Chargers have a long, long history of really getting people's hopes up, and then those hopes just fall right through the floor when the playoff time comes. So there's a lot of football left before they even start thinking about a Super Bowl parade.
I spent some nights out at Jack Murphy. I remember some of those playoff games. And, hey, I appreciate you making a little bit of time. I know it's a sore topic for guys from Baltimore to be calling San Diego to talk about the Chargers, but my affinity for San Diego is eternal. And as I've told everybody, you live in San Diego, you don't need a friggin' football team. Everything's fine.
Amen to that,
There
brother.
you go, man. Hey, appreciate you, Troy. Thanks for coming on.
My pleasure.
Troy Hirsch joining us here from Fox 5 in San Diego, where I'm going to be heading this weekend. The Ravens will be nowhere near San Diego, going in and out of Carson, California, up in Los Angeles. You can find me out in the buyatoyota.com audio vault 24 hours a day from anywhere in the world on your mobile device by downloading the TuneIn radio app. We do come in crystal clear from anywhere in the world. I am Nestor. We are WNST.net, AM 1570 and WNST Tassel, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore sports.